Hello, everybody, and welcome to Catalyst of Change. I'm Alexia Cito, and I am so excited to be with our very special guest of honor in her very own studio, by the way, the most gorgeous space ever, which we're going to dive into.
You're so sweet.
It's Lauren. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here and also having us.
Of course.
And Lauren is just like an extraordinary, beautiful soul. I've had the blessing of being in your presence this day and a half now, and also discovered you on Instagram as a contributing curve editor for UK.
Yes.
The founder of this gorgeous studio. Yes. And I was telling you, like, when we were first looking for a place in London to film, I was looking at podcast studios and I kept finding like all these others. It didn't click. And then all of a sudden, L&D Studios popped up and I just saw like the aesthetic and the colors and like people will see like all the photos, like there's these different dimensions. And I was like, this is the place. Like this is the mothership. Yeah. And it's just, and you can tell like all of the love and intent. Like I was like, and that's what happened is like I found, I was like reached out, but then I'm like, who made this? Like somebody obviously had to have come up with this because it was just so meticulously thought out and like so beautiful. And I was like, yeah, I was like, this is so amazing. And then that's when I found you.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, wow. Like that explains it. So yeah, thank you.
I know, I love that. Thank you as well. It's always so nice to have different creators in the space. And we've only been open for really a short period of time. So the fact that you found us and you're from Toronto, it's like insane to me. She's like, I'm getting on a flight. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, that's great. But yeah, no, thank you. This has been such a labor of love. It's literally been a project that I've had in mind for like the last 4 years. And it's now like it's happened and we're here and it's still like a pinch me moment. I can't believe it. So yeah, it's been amazing. So to hear that you also love it as well is just like so heartwarming. So thank you.
Yeah, like adore it. And you introduced us to our amazing videographer, Alice, who's here. And we were having a chat also just on the way to get coffee about modeling and being like, and you know, she had explained a little bit of growing up and talking about, you know, I had wanted to be a model, but it was bigger. So it didn't occur to me that would be possible. Like, that's crazy, first of all, like that's even a thing.
Yeah.
But it is.
Yeah.
And it was. And it's, it is. And being, the contributing curve editor for Cosmo in the UK, I'm so curious on like how it's been for you and what inspired you to kind of like start this journey? What was that like, especially being in an industry that's had like such this like stereotype of like what beauty is for so long?
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely been difficult. So how I really kind of got into it was I started a blog when I was in secondary school.
Wow.
And I was really just inspired by the bloggers that like the OG bloggers that were taking over like Fashion Week, and editors were getting pissed off and buyers were getting pissed off, and I was in that age of like following all of these people. And so I was like, oh my God, I want to have a blog. So it started very organically in that sense, and it just being a hobby. And then I was really adamant about me wanting to study journalism. So I kind of felt like I needed to have some sort of portfolio, quote unquote. So that then came, and then Instagram then came, and then I was posting on Instagram. So it's really been quite organic. But in terms of how it's related to the industry and, the ideals of beauty, like beauty ideals, has definitely been something that's been difficult, especially for me as a teenager. I was like very body conscious, very self-conscious. And so I found myself feeling like I'm not necessarily good enough, but I still want to pursue this. I still want to do the blogging. I still want to do the modeling. I still want to be a writer. But not necessarily knowing if it was possible, similar to what Alice was saying. So I definitely can relate to that. I think that we've come leaps and bounds from like the early 2000s and that era of kind of heroin chic, women feeling like they had to look a certain type of way. However, I also feel like there has been some slight regression. I'd say like the pinnacle of like body positivity and seeing more women that just looked like me and were having these incredible experiences was definitely, you know, 2015, I would probably say, to 2018. And then we then entered this very strange time where I just feel like after the pandemic, it's like we've been in an episode of Black Mirror ever since, like just the craziest things happening. But yeah, no, I don't know. I just think I want to be a person who just lives authentically and does what I love to do. And if that means that I'm opening a studio tomorrow and writing a magazine article the next day and on set with a brand the following day, I feel like I should have enough self belief that I can do that. And that's what I'd like to instill in other people. Like, just go for it. Just do what you want to do, sort of thing.
Oh my gosh, this is so powerful. And I feel like you are an embodiment of that. Like, you're doing that. And it also, in a way, like, unspokenly gives permission for others when they see that and they're like, oh, I see myself in her, and look at her going after this, getting this, doing, like, living authentically. Then they feel like, hey, I can do that, you know? And it's like paving a way. So I want to honor you for that and like appreciate you for that. And it's so powerful. And you know what you said about confidence and about just going after it is something that I feel is such an important quality. And especially as a woman, I think having that ability to, no matter what the naysayers say, no matter what people say is possible, no matter what people say is like, this is what beauty is, or like, this is what success means, or like, you need to do this, that you have that ability to know what's authentic and know yourself and then take those actions you need to take.
Yes.
So like, have you always been like that? Or is there anything that happened in your life or anything you learned that kind of like supported you to develop that?
I think because as a like child and young teenager, there was a lot of me kind of not going into spaces that I wanted to go into because I was conscious of my body. So it'd be like, I really want to do and join a dance club, but I wouldn't do it because I felt like, but they might make a mockery of my body or my aesthetic or how I look or whatever the case may be. So I was always so caught up in the possible perception, because I'm going to say possible because I can't be sure that people did actually think those things, but the possible perception that people might have of me. And then it got to a point where I was just like, I am bored of this. Like, I'm upset, I'm crying, I'm allowing it to affect me and ruin my mood, and I'm ultimately not doing the things that I want to do. So why am I continuing to do this? Like, why am I living like this based on a possible perception? Because I'm not getting verification as to whether those people are thinking that.
Right.
And also, I could attend that dance class, have the best time, meet an incredible group of people and become great friends with them, but I don't know unless I try. So I think I kind of got bored, if I'm completely honest, of being so hard on myself. And that boredom then meant that I was actually like, no, I'm going to be living as authentically as I can. So at 18, a brand manager of a independent plus size brand reached out to me, and they were like, we'd like you to be a brand ambassador for us. And I thought it was literally just going to be me writing blog posts or me posting on Instagram. And it ended up being me modeling for their debut swimwear collection. Something that I would have never imagined doing as a girl that was like hiding from mirrors when I was younger.
Right.
And I ended up doing it, and I was like, this actually wasn't that bad. Like, this, I think we sometimes create this monster within ourselves of like, this is what everyone's thinking of you. You are terrible. You are awful. And obviously not everyone has that monster, but it comes in different variations. It might not be that you look terrible, but it might be that maybe I'm not the smartest, or maybe I don't have all of the things in life that I want to have. Maybe I don't have access to certain things. It could be anything. It can look different for everyone. But for me, it was body related. And I was allowing this monster to take over my life. And I was just like, this is crazy, because this is not even an entity. This is like something that has nothing to do with me. Other people's opinions have nothing to do with me. So we've got to move on. So that was really like a pivotal time for me. So I pretty much always say like 18, when I turned 18, that was a really pivotal time for me. And then there's just been like numerous shifts since then. You know, I never would have imagined, despite studying journalism, I never would have imagined joining a magazine. and even just on a contributing level where it's not like I'm a full-time employee there, but I contribute every month. I never would have imagined doing that, but I did it because I thought, you know what, actually, this is an experience. If I don't like it, we can stop, but why not say at least I've done it? And I think that's kind of the mantra that I take into life. Like, at least say we've done it. Same with this space. I was like, if I open it and it's not a success, at least I can say I've done it. The lease is for 3 years. We confirm whatever L it is that I have to take on, any loss, and we can say we've done it. And thankfully there hasn't been losses, but it's been an amazing experience. But at least I know that I've done something that I authentically wanted to do. That's kind of where I'm at in life.
Oh my gosh. Yes. This is like so empowering, because I feel like a lot of times people can allow the monster to take over and then not take the action because of, like you said, XYZ. It could be any reason.
It could be any reason. Yeah.
But it's like you had that realization, allowed yourself to like tame the monster and just went at it and took action. And I feel like that is a huge inspiration. And I'm curious, like, for anyone who's listening, especially any like young girls, maybe they're at that stage that you were at, where they're feeling that self-conscious, where like the monster is really loud. Like they feel like they're one with the monster, you know, and it's just like life feels crazy. Maybe they're wanting to do certain things. And I also just want to highlight, you know, there's a huge, I like to call like unfortunately it's like an epidemic of like, especially with young girls, with bullying, especially cyberbullying, with all kinds of, I mean, the suicide rates, especially since the pandemic, are really high. It's like really serious. And actually, you know, it was just yesterday or the day before I was watching that Millie Brown had posted, did you see it
yesterday as well? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I was like, this is exactly it, because for her, it was a bit different. It was more of like the work she had done or whatever, who knows, but it was something about how she looked.
Yeah.
So the whole conversation is like, why is this even a conversation? Like, why are women still, whether young or old or whatever, still being objectified and looked at like based on our size or our age or our wrinkles or our work that we've had done or like whatever the thing is. Yeah. And so because that's so rampant and like around the world, I'm just wondering, like, do you have like a message or anything you would share to like I guess like the young girls of today?
Gosh, I say be gentle with yourself. I think that we often, even if I think back to me being very young, we often think that this feeling that I'm feeling right now is going to be the feeling that I have for the rest of my life, which in most cases isn't the case. And it's so unfortunate that sometimes that feeling of how I'm feeling, how low I'm feeling, how sad I'm feeling in this very moment is going to be how I feel for the rest of my life. And as a result, there's no reason to continue. And as, you know, trigger warning, but as I've dealt with like suicidal ideation before, so I would really just say you've really got to try your absolute best to recognize that this is a moment and it's not life. It's not going to be like this forever. And that I think it's easier said than done, because in the heights of me feeling like in my lowest places, that hasn't been necessarily the most helpful thing to say, but it's reality. It's reality in the sense that this isn't going to remain forever. This feeling isn't going to remain forever. And really lean on your community for support. The only way I was able to get out of that hole really was by actually sharing how I was feeling with my mum and having that support. And now it might not be your mum, it might be your sister, it might be your best friend, it might be whoever it is, but really you have to lean into community, because I think that a lot of us haven't got as much community as we have previously had, like past generations have had. And it's unfortunate, but I think that we have to take the steps to build communities, to build our tribe. And it might not be your family, and that's okay. You shouldn't feel guilty or upset about that, but put in the work to find those people and lean on them. I think that's the biggest thing, because the moment I kind of let that door open and was honest about it, it then allowed for light to come in. It then allowed for someone else to pick me up, to guide me through it. So yeah, I would say that. But also so yeah, lean on your community, um give yourself grace and know that this moment is just a moment. But also, I think sometimes we have to just recognize that some people are really just projecting, especially in the case of Millie. I don't understand why we have reached this stage in life where now it seems acceptable to be really mean to people. And like it's normal. Like we currently have people in power who are allowed to say the most insane things, and it be like, okay, it's fine, we can deal with that. I don't know when, like, you know, racism, sexism, all of those things became acceptable. We need to start recognizing it's not acceptable. And so acknowledging that actually this isn't anything to do with you, this is about this person's character, sometimes can be really helpful. But yeah, I just think it's really difficult, and I empathize with anyone who is going through a really challenging time, especially young girls, because as children you don't know, like you genuinely think that whatever it is that you're experiencing in this time is like what life is. And that's just really sad and scary. Yeah.
I think it's really key what you're sharing though, and having been through it.
Yeah.
Right? Because that alone, I think, is something that hearing it from anyone is like, okay. But if you know someone's been through that darkness, you know, where you cannot see the light, and it literally feels like you're in this tunnel and where's the end? But there is a way out.
Yeah, there is. There really is.
Always is. And that persistence and that belief and that dedication, like, and I love that you said connect, because it can be such a natural reaction to like want to isolate and like hide. So,
and I think that can be part of the phase of, like, you know, grief, and it is a part of it. I think that sometimes isolation is necessary in the sense of understanding how you're feeling and connecting, being at one with your body. Sometimes we're not able to hear how we are feeling until we are in silence and until we are isolating. But I think the issue becomes when we are isolating and then not recognizing that we need to come out of this period, that it's just supposed to be a period. It's not supposed to be life.
Right.
It's supposed to be a part of the process, and then there's supposed to be other things that come after it. And so, yeah, the isolation part though is scary, because you can really feel like this is the end. So yeah, connecting is so important.
Yeah, it reminds me kind of like metamorphosis, like the cat. Like,
yes,
when I was a kid, they would always have the caterpillars, and like they put them in a little thing, and you watch them turn into the butterfly. So it's like that cocoon phase.
Yeah,
but then you eventually, like, you grow and you get out of that, and that's when this like magic happens and this transformation.
Definitely. I feel like I've only just got out of the cocoon in the last like maybe year. So, you know, even just based on my experience, like that whole being just in the cocoon for however long that was, like for me, almost 9 years, is definitely scary. But you have to like work, you have to continue. You can't just allow for it to absorb you and to just become your reality. There's work that has to be done, but also it's easier said than done, you know. I say that it took me 9 years to feel like I'm breathing and here. But that was through connection, that was through therapy, that was through actively trying my best to just build friendships and work through whatever it was that I was going through in that period of time. And it definitely included isolation. It also included poor coping mechanisms, so alcohol, partying. It also included that. I'm not saying that I had this love and light experience, but it's understanding and being at one with the fact that actually this is a process, and like it's not going to be love and light. It's not going to be like how it is in the films, where you see this person laying in bed one day and then all of a sudden the lights change and they're back to being good. It's okay. So yeah, being at one and being okay with the process is important, I think.
Yes, it's like giving space and allowing for that already opens up so much for people, because there's a lot of like making things wrong, or like, you know, you can't do this, you can't do that, da, 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 da. And it's just like, when you can just allow for the process,
Yes.
there's a lot more space that's created.
Yeah.
And like more of a loosening of that pressure
Defo.
to be something or do something or whatever it might be.
Definitely. And there's so much pressure, I feel like. So social media, the media, society telling you this is what you're supposed to have done by this age, that age, the other age. Like, there's so much pressure all around. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think, why add to that pressure that's already out there in terms of like yourself, like telling yourself certain things. When we can switch it, we can try to be more positive with our inner voice, inner child. So yeah.
That I love that you brought up the inner child and the inner voice, because like I often feel like we're just like kids in bigger bodies.
Yeah.
Like in terms of our heart and like the consciousness and just like the things and the traumas that we can hold on to. It's like those triggers, like you had mentioned the trigger warning. We have all these triggers that can be activated in so many different ways. And the inner voice is so key, because I love when you brought up like the monster and talked about shifting that. One of the things that it reminds me of is like our thoughts are not something that we are, they're something that we have. Because like I remember those stages, and even still sometimes there's thoughts and it's like it becomes you. Like
Yes.
like I like even still to this day sometimes a thought will happen and it's almost like I am the thought, and then I'm like, wait, what the heck? I can choose a different thought. Like I was like, wait, I'm like alone in my room or something, you know, and I'm like, wait, I don't care about that. Yeah. Wait, like forget about that.
Yeah.
Like cancel message, you know, like move on. And then right away there's like this huge space that opens up and it's like a lightness.
Yes.
So sometimes it's like it can be so hard to even just reach that place depending on the thought.
Yeah.
But we can, you know, with a remember, like, and also the other thing that it reminds me of is like permission. There were so many times on the journey where like, you know, I felt, and I think a lot of people feel like they need a permission for something, whether it's permission to forgive themselves.
Yeah.
Like, for example, maybe something happened when they're young and they hold on because it's like, you know, like I'll use myself as an example. Like I remember like when I was a kid, you know, whatever, I had something happen with, and I was thinking about it as I held on to this for so long. It was like something I had said to a sibling, and I told them after, and I said, I don't even know what you're talking about. Yeah, like I don't even remember that. And I'm like, and I remember like in that moment, it was like, just
It's
like gone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how many things do we hold on to? And it's like, people do not be. And another example I want to use is like socializing. So for example, okay, I leave here and then maybe I start getting these voices like, oh, I should have said that different. Oh shit, you looked funny, or or oh, they looked at you like this, or you know, and all those messages start coming. We could easily internalize that.
Yes.
So it's almost like it takes work or like a level of consciousness just to be like, I hear all that and maybe there is some truth to some of it. Maybe I can learn and adjust for next time. But also, I'm just going to let that go at this point.
Yeah.
Because it's what's done is done. And if I keep enumerating about it, like, I'll just be in a hole. So I feel like... I don't know, I got so deep.
No, but that was so good. That was so good.
But, you know, because I feel like what you're saying about it is like, it's key, you know, and it has to do with the body image. It has to do with the young girls and just anyone, because everyone has these like voices.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we all have an inner voice, and I think the main thing is that it can either be positive, like I can't remember this lady's name, but I think she's a rugby player, and she was in Strictly Come Dancing UK show, and she did an interview recently, and the interviewer said to her, how do you deal with self-imposter syndrome? And she was like, I don't know what that is. I've never dealt with that. And it was almost, my mind was like, what? There's someone out there that has never doubted themselves. She was like, I work hard. Everything that I have accomplished is because I've worked hard. So why would I feel doubtful about the fact that I'm in this space, that I'm in this room, that I'm in this position? Because I've worked towards it. And I'm like, yeah, of course. Duh. But for many of us, it's like you can allow your fear, you can allow that doubt to really take over. And now it's a case of, well, yes, I've worked hard, but I should have done this and I should have achieved this and I should have worked harder, or I should have said this, or they looked at me like this. Maybe if I looked at them like that, then it would have changed. Babes, relax. So yeah, I think we have to like actively work. And I like how you said to be like so conscious of it, to reframe that inner voice. Because yes, like there's balance in the fact of like sometimes things are negative, sometimes things are positive, but I think more often than not we should be looking at things through a lens of positivity.
Yes.
So yeah, crazy.
Agreed. It's like, and you know, I feel like this conversation, and especially coming from you, like as a representation in your life, you know, going through these periods, and it is something that makes it tangible. It's like no matter where we're at in the process, there's change, there's a wave, there's something, there's a shift. We can make a change, you know, and that we're also like creating a ripple effect. Like when we make a change, the people around us make a change, and the world can make a change, and we can like seriously do that. And I think it's really beautiful. So I just want to thank you. Thank you. And I have a question that we ask everybody, which is, if you could be a catalyst of change for one thing in the world right now, what would that be?
Oh, I love that question. If I could be a catalyst for change for one thing in the world right now, I think it would just be for people to live more authentically. And to be assured of the fact that they are valuable and that their presence is necessary. I think we can sometimes feel like, well, I'm one of however many billion people in the world, but actually who you are and what you bring to the table and the light that you bring to the people that are around you, even if it's not the mass millions, but it's just your immediate family, your friends, that light is so impactful and so important. So move like you have a mass following of however many people loving and adoring you, and just be that light. So yeah, I think that's what I would probably say.
Oh my gosh, yes. Move like you have the millions.
Yes, move like you've got millions of people loving you and following you. I think that's important.
That is important, and it feels like, and in a way, I mean, I'm gonna take this a little bit like eccentric, but
yeah.
But when you say that, you know what I saw? I saw like an image, like a method of like all our ancestors.
Yes.
You know, because like it's like, even if we can't see that, if you think about all, like it actually is, it's like beyond what we can comprehend. It's like so mind-boggling. Yeah. If you think of like all the generations till the dawn of time that had to come for us to be here today.
Yes, that have fought, that have, you know, that have worked hard, that have made mistakes and made incredible things happen. Like we are a reflection of like all of the people that are before us, you know? And I think that's really, really, really spiritual and really, really impactful. Acknowledging that. And I love that you mentioned that, because actually I think that is so beautiful, especially when you look at it of the lens of like your mother's grandmother's grandmother had to fight for her right. Like if she could see you and what you're doing in this present moment, she would be in awe. She might have not had those same rights, the same access to things, the same privilege to be able to live authentically, to have a platform like this. Do you know what I mean? To be able to connect with people. So the fact that you are able to do that is incredible. So yeah, no, I love that. I'm gonna remember that and take that in everything that I do.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Thank you for that and bringing it forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's I feel like there's a lot of ways. Well, even what you shared about the mother.
Yeah.
Like, because just thinking, I've heard a lot of people say, like, in a way, we're kind of like one of the first generations to really have the type of ability to have, and I'm not saying everyone on the planet, and there's still so far to go, but I just mean that we in many ways are like the first generation of women in the line of like, at least in the recent history, to have that level of like, I say freedom lightly.
Yes. And so there's the times that we are in.
Yeah, but that's
great.
great. I mean,
But
like
yes.
we can have a bank account,
Yes.
buy a
Buy a
house,
house, open a business.
yeah, without a man's signature,
Yep.
which is still wild to me that was like in the last few hundred years,
Yeah.
and much closer that we even needed that,
Yeah.
which is like wild and still exists in many countries, but so it's really beautiful to think about that and just appreciate that and like honor each other that we're doing what we can with what we got.
Definitely. The moves that you were making are moves that would be your ancestors' wildest dream. I think that's so important to think about.
It is.
Wow. It allows you to be more grateful and thankful.
Yeah, today. So thank you.
And thank you for having me. And thank you for coming to the studio. I'm so glad you came.
Yeah, and like stay tuned because we need to come back.
Yes.
Not over this place. It is gorgeous. If you're in London, come check it out. If you're not, fly over and come check it out. I'm telling you, it's worth it. It's so special. And I want to thank you so much for for being a catalyst of change. You're such an amazing force.
You're so sweet.
I'm so excited to be connected and to just see as things progress and grow. And it's been amazing. Thank you. And I want to thank everyone for watching and checking us out. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, all the things if this resonated for you. We'd love to hear your experience. And you can check out thelndstudio, Lauren, and all the links in description below. And until our next episode, keep being a catalyst of change in your life, in the world. And we'll see you next time. Bye.